So you want to know how to outwork everyone. Well, having the ability to outwork everyone is actually a lot easier than you probably think. Because it's really easy to be successful nowadays because most people are weak. You see, focus is a superpower in today's world because everybody is distracted. For most people, the thought of working on something for more than 5 minutes is too demanding, so they resort to things like social media. You've probably experienced it yourself when you wanted to focus on something important, but even though you really wanted to, you just couldn't concentrate. But if you develop focus, you'll stop having that problem, and you'll be able to literally run laps around the competition with ease. Because by watching this video, you'll gain the ability to outwork 99% of people. So do yourself a favor and give me your full attention. So, what is this skill? It's the flow state. It's the state where you focus exclusively on one thing. The flow state is the state where your work comes out almost perfectly, with little effort. So if you master the skill of entering flow state, you'll be able to outwork 99% of people. Now that you know what flow state is, you need to minimize the things that block your flow state. One of these things can be thoughts and memories. You might think that if you're trying to focus and suddenly a thought pops into your mind, it's bad, but not entirely. Because regardless of whether you want it or not, thoughts will still come into your mind, as it's natural and beyond our control. So the best thing you can do is to stop focusing on that thought and return to your work. Another thing that can block your flow state are other people. I'm talking about situations where, for example, you want to focus on something and suddenly your mom or dad walks into your room, causing you to break your focus. So if such a situation might occur, first inform the people you live with that you'll be working and need to focus, and it would be nice if they didn't disturb you during that time. Because if you don't tell them, how would they know? Therefore, every time you plan to work, let others in your house know that you'll be focusing on something. And if your home is noisy and simply asking people to be quiet doesn't work, consider investing in noise-canceling headphones that can help you concentrate better. Another blocker can be multitasking, and I'll tell you right away, it doesn't work. Because instead of focusing on one thing, you start doing something else rather than concentrating 100% on that one task. So before each deep work session, you need to set a specific goal you want to achieve in that block of work. Don't check your phone or other things, just focus on that one task. Diet and sleep can also block you from entering the flow state. They have a significant impact on your productivity. How many times have you been exhausted and unable to focus on anything because you didn't get enough sleep? Therefore, you need to take care of these two things. Regarding diet, avoid meals with high amounts of carbohydrates. And regarding sleep, just ensure its length and quality. The last blocker of flow state is your phone. The worst thing you can do when trying to enter flow state is to leave your phone on your desk in a visible place and have notifications turned on. So the best thing you can do is completely turn off notifications and put your phone in a place where you don't see it. Next is preparing for flow. You see, most people work for 8-10 hours non-stop, but people who can outwork others work in short but very intense blocks, then rest and recover. So I'll give you a few things you should do before starting your work. Number 1. Plan exactly what you want to do. The best duration for uninterrupted work is 1.5 hours. Research shows that after this time, your focus decreases. So before each work block, set a clear goal for what you want to achieve in that block of work. Because if you don't have a set goal, instead of focusing on one thing, you start doing many other unnecessary things, which turns into multitasking, as I mentioned earlier. Number 2. Prepare your workspace. As I mentioned earlier, you shouldn't have your phone on your desk while working. But if you need other things like water or a pen, so you don't have to get up from your desk to fetch them, make sure you have them ready before each work block. Another important part of staying in flow is having a regular routine. Setting up a daily schedule with set times for work and breaks helps your mind get ready for flow more easily. Consistency builds a pattern that tells your brain when it's time to focus and when it's time to relax. This could mean setting aside a specific time each day for your hardest tasks or following certain habits that help you get into work mode. A routine can cut down on decision fatigue and make it easier to get into flow. Okay, the next thing is entering flow. At this stage, you've prepared everything, started working, and are beginning to enter your flow state, and you realize that it's very easy to focus on the work you're doing. If any thoughts come to mind, just ignore them and return to your work. So at this stage, just focus as much as possible and make the most of your flow state. However, if you've been working for a long time and notice that it's getting harder to focus over time, it's a sign that you're slowly coming out of flow state. The only real solution is to stop working. And don't get upset that you had to finish. Just be proud that you completed your first deep work session. Now, the worst thing you can do, which many people do, is to take your phone and start browsing social media. But why? Imagine you've just had a workout and you're tired. What do? Do you go for another workout, or do you rest? You'd rest, of course. And that's what you should do after each deep work session. You need to give your mind a break. So the best thing you can do now is go for a walk, or just lie down to let your mind rest. Don't forget that to enter flow, your goal needs to be at the right level of difficulty. It's like going to the gym. If your max bench press is 150 pounds, and you set a goal to lift 155 pounds today, there's a good chance you'll achieve it. But if your max is the same, and you set a goal to lift 200 pounds, there's a good chance you won't succeed. So you should slightly increase the difficulty of your task each time, but not too much, because if it's too hard, you won't be able to enter flow state. And if it's too easy, you'll get bored and won't be able to enter flow either. You should also set a life goal that you truly want to pursue. This will greatly facilitate your flow state process. By doing so, you'll be genuinely interested in your goal and will actually want to work on it. Because to gain the ability to outwork everyone, it is vital that you identify your goals. Nowadays, it is very rare for people to have clearly defined goals. Everybody is multitasking between tasks, and that's because nobody can focus these days. So before you start your tasks, write down what you want to accomplish. This will make it clear for you to see your objectives for the coming day. It eliminates the distractions and resistance that come from debating what tasks to do. But to reach the point where you're ready to sacrifice cheap pleasures and endure boredom to learn how to work hard comes down to how bad you really want it. Of course, I have covered all the things you need to outwork everyone, but none of it matters if you're not willing to make sacrifices for what you want. Realize that if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. Imagine sacrificing your dreams and goals because you were too lazy to start working. Isn't that exactly what you want to avoid? But if you consistently eliminate your distractions and can just sit down and focus, it would be almost impossible not to achieve success.